I wanted to offer a tuning that would anchor in the frequency of new Earth into our bodies on this planet. And while biofield tuning works with tuning forks on the body and the electromagnetic field that surround it, you can also tune spaces and projects. So what I'm going to be offering in this video is to work with that intention as a collective process. So the way I'm going to be working is working with this fluorite orb with intention as a placeholder for this invitation and anchoring of new Earth into our bodies. The concept of new Earth is, my introduction to it was mostly as a metaphysical New Age concept, but in looking a little deeper into it, it actually has some references in Christianity and organized religion in a few different ways. And you may have your own take on what that is, but I would just like to state that I have been observing with some consistency, both in my own experience and in working with clients, that there is an emerging conversation, if you will, between the shifts in frequency of the planet, and rather than seeing that as an increase in frequency, maybe just I would interpret it as a shift or an evolution. And also noticing that it almost has a feeling of having a new sort of frequency, but again, it feels like an old one. And maybe the conversation between the energy coming from the stars and the cosmos and the planet's relationship with that conversation is shifting. And there are a lot of different takes on how the language may show up for you on that. But it's basically just to invite a shift or an evolution in our own experience on this planet in these very interesting times of transition that we are in. Biofield Tuning is based on over 20 years of research, practice, and inquiry of Eileen Day McCusick. It works, as I said before, tuning forks on the body in the electromagnetic field, interacting with the electromagnetism that surround all living things, effectively the signal that's there. I want to go over a few things because we are tuning this as a project or an intention. It is an invitation to shift your experience in your body. So I do want to go over a couple things. You're going to hear me breathe deeply, and that's a great invitation for you to do the same. Big, nice, big belly breaths as if you're really allowing your body to fill up with light, and then allowing that to go out the base of your spine and the bottom of your feet, if you'd like to imagine that. Rather than judging what comes up for you, if there's any resistance or commentary on your part, I'm going to invite you to notice that in observation and just allow it to move through. You're going to hear the sound of the fork. You may need to adjust your volume. It's really more about the intention and the information that's showing up in that sort of sonic dialogue that shows up. So just to be aware of that. It's totally great if you need to go up and use the bathroom or get some water or move around or make some noise. That's all great. As I said before, I'm going to be picking up the signal collectively, but my intention is for you to receive it individually. This is occurring on many different levels and frequencies, so you can imagine that we are generally taught there are 3 stages of matter. Beyond gas, there's plasma, and beyond that, there's ether. So in some ways, we're working together or connecting on an etheric level, if you will, so that's outside of time and space. I'm going to be conducting this as if anyone who listens to it is included. So if you are listening to it after the fact, years later, perfect. You're right here, right now, as I'm doing this. Biofield is intended for folks in general good health. So if you're pregnant, you have a pacemaker, you have any advanced disease, including cancer that you've been diagnosed with, I'm going to graciously invite you to turn the video off now. If you're using heavy machinery or driving, please listen to this after the fact. We want to make sure that everyone is safe that's experiencing this and participating. Also, if you've had a concussion within 3 to 6 months ago. Again, I'm going to ask that you not listen. There's a full list of contraindications listed on the biofieldtuning.com website, and if you're curious about why those are, you can go ahead and check that out here. Just as a reminder, when we wrap all this up, I'm going to invite you to drink lots of water, maybe even take a salt bath if you're called, a foot soak. Any kind of experience with water in your body or outside is really going to help. The sound frequency and the intention are moving through the water in your body, so that is an important consideration. All right. So with your intention and my intention, I'm going to place this project, if you will, of anchoring this experience of new earth into our bodies. So I'm going to do that now. I'm working with this lovely orb of fluorite, which has just such a great vibe to it, and it reminds me of the earth. So this is going to be our placeholder as we do this. So I'm going to be tuning this. When you do projects, there are lots of different ways you can do that rather than using the holographic sort of placeholder of a body or a glass of water. I'm going to use this orb. This is generally what I use, and I'm going to do the 4 quadrants, if you will. So if I'm facing this right here, that would be north, east, south, west. So I'm going to start in the east here and just see what shows up. We're just going to feel into this, okay? So to me, what I'm noticing here, this is sort of the panic or anxiety of the unknown. Sort of synonymous with a sense of mystery. And when we don't know or can't see or anticipate what's coming, it generally prompts a sense of vulnerability. So I'm going to invite everyone to breathe here. And imagine for a second that there's a space of excitement and anxiety, and they hang out pretty closely together. And I want to comment, that feels a little different than terror. But I'm going to invite everyone to imagine that anywhere that you're feeling anxiety around what's next on our experience on this planet, can almost shift into possibility. And it reminds me of when we can feel in our bodies right before big change occurs that we have this, oh my God, what's going to happen? And just to kind of breathe into it. And if you can, figure out when you've been in those situations, how you made it through. How did you find trust in there? And yeah, sometimes that's in experiences or remembering when you felt vulnerable, you were able to move through that. Sometimes people find solace in their pets, in their music. Sometimes it's not with other people if you don't have relationships that are. If you do, that's great. So the next kind of part of information in here has to do with denial. And I'm going to invite everyone to be really comfortable with shifting out of that state. And feeling into, as that car alarm goes off, that maybe nobody knows what's next. Yeah, there we go. That we're in a fluctuating timeline of who knows what shows up. I've gotten the feeling that, if you will, if we have galactic partners in this, or tribes or families, they're sort of like, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of a experiment, like we're in a petri dish almost. So I'm going to invite everyone to create some space in their body for evolution to occur, for newness to show up, and to imagine that we're almost all in a state of metamorphosis, or soon to be fully in that. It reminds me of that caterpillar that's in that cocoon, right? And it has no idea what's happening. Like the parts that where its feet become its head. It's like this dramatic shift and evolution in its own biology. There you go. I'm noticing some movement in my head, so if you're noticing any shifts of awareness, maybe if what you're feeling in your eyes or your head at all, just breathe through that. There you go. Nice. Folks are doing great with this. Nice. I'm noticing it's like a shift in minerals, proportions of minerals in our bodies. Interesting. Maybe silica, right? Carbon from silica is part of the conversation that people have around our evolution, potentially. There you go. And I'm just hearing to be really gentle with everything and everyone here. Yeah, TLC, tender loving care all around. Yep. Okay. We're almost there, folks. I'm going to go in here with a 144 and just give this a little nudge. Yeah, and what I'm noticing just now is to really create some space for wholeness. It feels like there's been a lot of fragmentation in our experience on this planet for a very long time, and that we're moving into a full circle kind of vibe here. And it all can show up, right? It's all okay. There we go. Nice. There you go. Absolutely. All right. So what I'm going to do is drop this into the center. So all of that kind of what was kind of static and distortion is cleaned up real nice. So I'm going to drop this in. And as this is going in, it's just this, again, this sort of invitation to shift from separateness into wholeness. And that this story of fragmentation that we run, or have run, if you want to hold on to it, that will be one frequency. But this invitation from New Earth is way more about integration and embracing parts that have been of ourselves, maybe in humanity, in our experience, and to really pull all that in as a full, it's funny, as a full story is what I'm hearing. It's a full story. You're a full story. Right. Without missing pages. Oh, yeah, harsh. Reading a book without all the pages? No, that's really frustrating. There we go. Lots of movement in the head up here in the eyes. Definitely noticing that. Folks, I'm going to invite you to create space to respond to your knowing as opposed to your thinking in some ways, to just allow your instinct to be open to show up. There we go. It's like that feeling when you kind of know it's important, or you need to do it, or it's a wise choice, but the details on a rational level might not be fully there, but you can like really feel it. That's the vibe there. There we are. Great. All right. So that was east. I'm going to shift this to go on its 90-degree angle to south. Interesting. All right, so this feels like some information around holding a state of righteousness or story, if you will. It's been a lot about books and narratives and pages, but there's this like, I'm right. And, you know, for you, you might be right, but that might not be what other people are opening up to as truth. And to really notice that someone who believes something to be true and you gave them a lie detector test, it would probably come out perfect, because in their universe, they're right. It's truth for them, right? And so truth is actually kind of a frequency more than a personal, well, it's a personal perspective. But there's something on this south side that to me feels like the kind of truth that shows up that's collectively witnessed. And just to notice that if there are changes that you're noticing in your body as we go through this shift, and that might be around sleep, nutrition, turning corners around behaviors that you have been really surprised that have changed. Having new conversations with our planet. And what I mean by that sometimes is the response to animals too. I've witnessed and noticed animals just being really present, like hummingbirds coming right up with no flowers, no nectar around. And they're just like, hi, what's going on? How are you? So if you're noticing any of that, to acknowledge that that's a conversation with this new earth kind of vibe, this relationship. There we go. Nice. Oh, this is so, got really sweet here, folks. Really profoundly compassionate. And maybe to allow for some space for this to show up, that it doesn't need to have this transition into New Earth doesn't need to be cataclysmic and violent and intense. I mean, well, it might be intense, but that it can be maybe some room for compassion in there too, right? There you go. Great. That sounded great, folks. I'm going to start to drop this in. And I'm noticing as this goes into really become aware that forgiveness is really important in these next stages. It feels like that we can have compassion with accountability. And, you know, that cycle of blame might need to, shift a little bit. That's a pretty heavy game. And I'm just hearing like you can't take it with you, right? So you've got so many bags. There's a baggage limit when you when you get on that plane. When we used to get on planes more, they would charge you if you had too many bags. So it just reminds me of that. Like that's kind of a heavy load. You might need to lighten that load up to get on that plane, right? There you go. And part of that is, folks, is that you can get more baggage later if you want it. You know, you can get things on your vacation if if that's an option or if they're there. You don't need to bring the kitchen sink with you on vacation, right? That's your new destination. That your needs will be met on the other side. It's okay. Yeah. There you go. Nice. This is feeling so good, folks. All right, so I have to rack my brain. All right, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna flip this 90 degrees. This is the west side here. This is water. Okay, I mean it's west water, but overwhelming emotion, like reservoirs. Yeah, the feels like surrender. Like I can't say I've had the personal experience of living through a flood, but what I have observed is it's a very unique process in that it brings up everything from underneath that maybe has been hidden or may have some level of toxicity in there, and it brings it up to all be negotiated. So let's breathe through that. This just feels like everything that's been hidden, right? And even in our patterns collectively on the planet, right? When you negotiate crisis, everything gets pushed to their limits, and everything becomes very apparent. And it sure does feel like we're right there. Anywhere where people have been in survival and haven't had enough, where there have been patterns of exploitation that are not compassionate, not human, are ready to shift. So let's breathe into that. And it's really interesting to me that we're working with this sound in the water in our bodies that's so receptive and conductive, and also responding to the information in the water, in the planet, and also addressing, maybe purifying it, clarifying it. There you go. And I'm just going to invite everyone to breathe into the possibility of healing the water on the planet, healing the water in our bodies, that there are ways to shift this through. And I just be kind of specific. It doesn't feel chemical, at least in its intervention exactly. There's an and when I say that, like other than chlorine or chemicals or things like that, there's a new thing here. There you go. Yeah, and also that water's everywhere. It's really universal. I mean, all the elements are universal, but water's particularly adaptive and really connects us in a really profound way in the oceans and waterways. When there's contamination, depending on the nature of it and the location of it, it affects everything, you know? Yeah, and there's this compassion story here around water and surrender. There you go. Interesting. And there was also this thing around making peace around it too. So what's dropping in for me also is that some folks are really scared of water. Maybe they had past experiences where they almost drowned. Maybe those were in this life, other lives, things like that. And interesting. So maybe there's space to make water safe again. Okay. I'm going to go in here with the 528 because that is just popping up as a real opportunity here to have a little conversation. Yeah, and maybe there's space for the water to restructure itself. I mean, not just in the purification process, but also like it's nature almost. Maybe it becomes more conductive. Yeah. Nice. Folks, I'm going to invite you to breathe and just kind of notice what's dropping in your body as we do this, and your awareness. Wow. All right. So there's this. It's a conversation in the water from that exists in the stars and the planetoids above, and then all the way down deep into the deepest aquifers of our planet. There's like this really interesting. It's literally the capacity for water to transmit information that's going on here. Interesting. There we go. Okay, folks, I'm going to drop this in. So as this is going in the top, I'm just noticing some information around our individual and collective agreements to be on the planet at this time. I know for myself and what I've witnessed for a lot of people, it's been really challenging to want to be here. Just straight up. It's been like, I don't know if I want to do this. This is really hard. I know it's been hard, but my patience is worn a little thin on a very big soul level. So I just want everyone to breathe, take it easy. Go make some good food. Go lay out in the sun if that works for you, if that's your deal. Stretch out on the grass. Play with your animals. Give your loved ones a back massage. Whatever you need to do. We're just working through it. We're working through it. Be nice. Just be nice, right? Everyone's got their there's a lot of short fuses going on, and I don't know that that's going to, quiet down anytime soon, okay? It's okay to say I'm freaking out, because a lot of people are. And it's okay to own that right now. It's okay to own that whenever. Because usually when we just acknowledge the emotion that's going on, even if we don't know, like, I don't know what's going on, I just feel freaked out. It's okay, just own it. It's when we don't acknowledge our emotions that it gets really tricky. There we go. Folks, you're doing great. All right, next is the north side. So I'm just going to turn this with intention. See what's going on up here. So this is really interesting. This is showing up as literally something on our collective. It's like a collective thought form pattern, if you will, on our heads. To me, it's showing up as like a band. So it's almost like plugging up everyone's third eye. It's a collective artifact, collective imprint. in some of the work related to biofield tuning and Sol Luckman's book around energenetics, that's not the word that it's called. I'll put a link in the comments down there for his book. But they talk about a slavery yoke around the second and third chakra. Eileen talks about it in her book, Tuning Human Biofield. This feels like it's around our head, around our third eye. This is a little different jam here. So it's as if, I think this is in reference to like pineal glands being plugged up and calcified. So I'm just going to invite everyone to breathe. A lot of stuff in the head this time around. There's a feeling of having viewing reality through the eyes of grief and lack, and replaying a story that humanity was taught. I'm going to invite everyone to breathe. Imagine, if you want to, you can actually, that you're breathing through the space of your third eye. And that there's a shift available to us in our perspective. So folks, you might be noticing your sleep patterns have changed. You might be noticing you have moments of a lot of exhaustion and tiredness, nap times. That's all really important, folks, because things are really changing upstairs for you. And I mean up here, for us. Yeah, interesting that there's space in our perception to perceive different wavelengths. I'm hearing new colors showing up. Like, if you could imagine that your view screen or your viewer is getting a really dramatic, and that feels very energetic and collective. There you go. Nice, folks. That's great. That feels really good. All right, we're going to drop this in. Potentiate Your DNA is the Sol Luckman book. There you go. I know it dropped in as soon as we cleared out that third eye. Oh, there you go. That just feels like a whole bunch of relief dropping in there. Like, I just want to witness for everyone that you don't need to hold on to all this in your body. It's not all on your shoulders. It's what we're in the middle of. Is it's okay for it to fall apart. That's part of transformation and metamorphosis. You know, in that cocoon, that caterpillar is like goo. It doesn't really even resemble what it was or what it's going to become. And we are really getting into the goo stage. Okay. And it's gnarly. It's not pretty. And it might be a little disturbing. And all you can kind of do in the middle of that is breathe and be patient and be graceful. Right, because in that stage of metamorphosis, there really judgment doesn't really apply, because this standard that you may have held, or maybe that caterpillar was like, well, I'm supposed to be this. Well, it doesn't really apply when you're goo. It's like that state of goo. All right. Folks, what I'm going to do, you're doing amazing. I'm going to flip the hologram over underneath. So I not only do the 4 quadrants, I do the underneath and the top. And again, we just see what's here. Okay. So this is interesting. This feels like heavy metals in the compost. Okay. Interesting. So if you've ever gardened and you've had compost, there are some things you can put in that are okay, that the animals aren't going to get and stuff like that, and it's going to decompose and the worms are going to be all happy and doing their job. And then there's stuff you don't put in the compost. This is the stuff that you don't put in the compost, and I'm not talking about animal stuff. I'm talking about heavy metals, stuff that's in batteries, nuclear waste, like just stuff that it's just really a little problematic, right? Has a very doesn't really go anywhere very quickly. So we're going to do something different, folks. I'm going to take a 528 and a Lumerian crystal. This is not textbook tuning, but this is where we kind of shift things that are particularly pesky, or I do, and we have a really hard time with. So we're going to effectively zap this a little bit to try to initiate a shift. We'll do that again. There we go. So yeah, detox, whatever that looks like. You may need some help for that. That's kind of when they come in the energetic, like hazmat suits, and they, have to clear that out. I'm looking down at my shirt, noticing I've been sweating, so that's good. That means some stuff's moving. It's probably a little hot in here too. So I'm going to invite everyone to feel into the detox can happen in any number of ways, and it's okay. And again, it's kind of gnarly, but it's okay for things to shift that don't have a mechanism, cycle, process to restore themselves on the planet. We might need to be really creative and really maybe get some help in working through some of that. There we go. Everyone, I'm going to invite you to breathe. There we go. Yeah, there was just this little thing of you can't take it with you. So there's some stuff that will go with us wherever this new destination of New Earth, and some stuff that will not. Nice. Nice. Oh, that's so lovely. I'm just going to go back with a 417. Well, maybe I've been working with that 417. There she goes. Nice. Aww. That's her new song. That's our Earth's new song she's got going on there. We're gonna flip her over, us over, on our front side, top side. So what shows up, there are interesting things that show up. There's like this energy of a rocket that shows up. So this blast off kind of vibe. And also timing. So let's just trust that the timing is all perfect. It's actually really essential. And my understanding and observation and experience of time, it's in flux, right? Everything, even the past, the future, like it's called kind of bound up, and it affects each other's, and happens instantaneously. Like there is no time, but it feels like very in flux here. So let's kind of breathe into that. It all shows up when it needs to, and even if it's been hard and challenging, like time is it inherently is doing what it needs to do. Ooh. That you can trust, and we can trust time. Everyone, I'm going to invite you to breathe. Okay. Got something in here. That's okay. I'm feeling it kind of stuck in my throat. And it, to me, feels like kind of... maybe the time feels like there's an attempt to manipulate it, to tweak it, to twerk it. I don't know. So we're just going to tease that out, because let's just initiate and invite time to do its thing that it needs to without monkeying around, if you will. No disrespect to monkeys, but... There you go. There you go. Whew. I'm going to go back in here with a little 417. Let's smooth the jaggy edges out in here, because it just feels like, there you go. It's a little rough here in the column. Poof. Nice. There it is. There's that song. It's like our planet has a new sound she's trying to teach us, or a new song. There you go. Aww. That is so beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna go with the 528. I kind of do like a 4-leaf clover to kind of get all these parts and pieces integrated, and then we'll just bring this all up and ground it back in. You all have been amazing. And I'm just going to invite everyone to feel into your wholeness. That you have an invitation, we have an invitation to integrate, excuse me, all of us on this planet at this time in this transition. You don't have to exist with missing pages in your book. You can have all of it. There you go. All right. Folks, I'm going to strike the fork 3 times. I'm acknowledging all of our and your ancestors and guides in all levels, dimensions, capacities. And with their consent and your consent, both, I'm going to invite them to hang out with you, as long as it's appropriate, and so that you can move forward with that support and conversation. I'm also going to invite that all of the energy that I worked with in this space, in this orb, goes back to neutral. And any energy in your space that got stirred up goes back to neutral, so that you can move forward and do your thing with some really good energetic hygiene, and just kind of clear that out. And also set the intention that if you need to be reminded to do a little scrubby bubbles on your space and in your field energetically, to revisit that. Okay, it's important to keep our space clean and clear and open for new stuff, right, to show up. So here we go. Beautiful. Lots of love, lots of light to you as all of this unfolds. Take great care of your body as you process this and welcome in new earth and anchor it in your body. Lots of water. Salt bath would be great. Foot soak would be great. And if you got a pool or a lake or a stream, that would be amazing too. Lots of love to everyone. You're doing great. Just hang in there. We're moving through all this, all right? Lots of love. Take great care. Bye-bye.